My friend Dana had her birthday celebration last night in downtown Dallas. Knowing my friend Sarah could use a night out, I brought her along. Everything was fine until I noticed Sarah was getting very drunk, very quickly. Guys were constantly sending her shots and drinks. There was this one guy who brushed my hand away when I tried to check on her. I gave him a clear back off in return, like seriously, don't touch me. He backed off for a bit and we went back to chilling. I was the designated driver, so I was fine with her having a good time. Then she vanished. My friends asked where Sarah went. I called her several times, anxious, pacing in and out of the bar trying to reach her. When she finally answered, I could hear the guy who pushed my hand away. He told me to stop calling, and I heard Sarah laughing in the background. I asked to speak with her, and she said, "I'm right here outside the bar. Why are you so upset?" But I was outside, and she was nowhere to be seen. She hung up. Back inside the bar, I called her a few more times, but there was no response. I stepped outside again, and there I saw her making out with the guy. I went to check if she was okay, and once again the guy pushed me away. By now he knew my name and said, "She doesn't want to go home with you, Optimus Prime Barista," with this weird grin. I asked if I could take her home or if she'd come back inside the bar with me, and again the guy swatted me away. I explained that my friends were concerned for her. She responded, "Oh, you mean the one friend who invited you out of pity?" Then she screamed at me to go home, that she didn't want to leave with me, that I was a terrible friend and she didn't have fun with me. They walked away and I closed my tab. I walked around the bars trying to find her. She didn't answer my calls. It was 1:30 a.m. and I was alone, so I walked to my car. I was halfway home when she called me asking where I was. "I'm on my way home." "What? You can't just leave me here. What do you mean you're going home?" "You told me to go home repeatedly, so that's what I did. I'm more than happy to come back to pick you up, but it'll take me about 20 minutes. 20 minutes? You're gaslighting me. You left me stranded on the street." I could hear the same guy with her, and I could tell they were inside a bar. She wasn't stranded, but at this point I had turned around to pick her up, but she told me to leave her alone, so I headed back home. Again. I stayed up until 3 a.m. and kept calling her. I was sobbing in bed with my boyfriend because I just wanted her to be safe and I didn't want anything to happen to her. I feel so guilty for leaving her. My boyfriend said I tried my best to get her back home and it's not my fault. He also said it was dangerous for me to be alone in Deep Ellum so late at night, UIKIK, and that I had to make sure I was safe too. Am I the jerk for leaving my friend? Quick edit 1. To clarify, my friend is 38 years old, 10 years older than me. 2. She made the pity invite comment towards me, as in I, Optimus Prime, was invited by my friend Dana out of pity, not that Sarah was invited by me out of pity. 3. I did try to physically grab Sarah at one point. 4. I should have let bar security know that she was overserved and caused a scene over the guy repeatedly swatting at me. Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. You did what you could. She had less interest in her own safety than you did. Also, your BF is right. Her safety comes after yours. I suppose the real question is what you could have done that you didn't do. Drag her to the car? That could have resulted in a physical altercation with the guy. Tell her she has to go with you. It was clear she wasn't going to do that. You turned around when she called you. I would have told her to get an Uber and not go out with her again. Her behaviour just needs the wrong person for it to become tragic. Comment 2. Everyone sucks here. This guy was being physical with you, swatting you away. I would have told security that he physically touched you and was taking advantage of your friend. This guy sounds like he's probably been an issue with people before. Security may have even known him. Worst case scenario, he drugged her and took advantage. Best case scenario, your friend is a bad drunk and nothing happened to her. This whole thing sucked. Comment 3. You are not the idiot. That guy must have developed his personality exclusively from watching 90s frat guy movies. You did the best you could, left, came back, did the best you could again, and then cried about it. Sometimes situations are just hopeless, and you can only throw yourself against a brick wall so many times, so to speak. That situation probably ended badly, but you did everything you could and more. Now for the next story. So me, 29-year-old male and a party of 9, rented an Airbnb for a weekend getaway to celebrate one of our friend's birthday. We previously agreed to share all the expenses of the trip, from the house costs to food and drinks to gas and tolls. Since we're 9 people, we need 2 cars to get there, and I'm the only one of our group that owns a vehicle, which I offered to them. But obviously we still had to rent an extra car. However, I told them I believe I should be excluded from this expense. Instead of splitting the rental between all of us, I proposed it should be split between the other 8, because I'll be providing my car after all. One of the people in our group, 31-year-old male, said in our chat that I'm changing our original deal to share everything equally, and said it would be the same as him not paying for the food, because he's usually the one in charge of the cooking, by his own choice. He's the best cook among us and enjoys it instead of taking over other chores. I told him that his example doesn't make sense. The persons that cook not paying for the food would be the same as the persons that drive not paying for the car expenses. Here I'm talking about providing my own property, a property that depreciates every time I use it. He said I still shouldn't back out of our original agreement. Then I reminded that if it wasn't for my car, under our original deal, we would all have to share the costs of 2 rentals instead of 1, and if that's what they all prefer, then I was withdrawing my offer to use my car. One of the friends, the birthday boy, came to talk to me privately asking me to reconsider, aware it would increase the cost, but I told him I'm not going back on it, given how this other person reacted. We should all pay for 2 rentals then. Am I the jerk here? Now here are the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. By taking your car, you're actually reducing the cost for everyone, because a rental would be the rental cost plus gas. You wouldn't ride in the rental ever because you would be driving your own car, but you should figure out how to split the gas charge. If it's not too far and wouldn't result in you paying more than the others splitting the rental costs, maybe you just pay for the gas in your car and everyone else splits the costs of the rental, even if they ride in your car. Comment 2. Not the idiot. I would drive yourself alone and force the remaining 8 to have to rent another car and pay for it, since that's what would be going on if you didn't offer up your vehicle. You're actually making it cheaper for them bringing your own car, and they have the audacity to still demand you to pay for something you aren't using. This is exactly why these kinds of trips don't interest me. Someone always gets the short end of the stick. Comment 3. Not the idiot. You offering your vehicle to be one of the 2 needed is completely separate from whether or not you do some of the driving or your friend does some of the cooking. Material costs, cars, gas, tools, food, are separate and distinct from labour costs, driving, cooking. If you're already providing one of the 2 cars, you should not have to pay for any part of the cost to rent a second vehicle. Now, for the next story. Hey Reddit, I need your input on a situation that has spiralled out of control, and I'm honestly not sure if I'm the jerk here. This all began when my grandmother passed away, leaving a sizable inheritance for our family. At first, everything seemed fine. My siblings, 35-year-old female, 36-year-old male, and I, 33-year-old female, started discussing how to distribute the inheritance fairly. But as the conversations went on, my siblings first suggested and then insisted that I should share my portion with them because they believed they needed it more than I did. The situation was intensified by the fact that one of their kids, Lily, 3 years old, has a heart condition called supravalvular aortic stenosis, requiring expensive treatments, including a specialized surgery that wasn't covered by insurance. They were struggling to cover these immense costs. What made matters even more complicated was that my other sibling, Sarah, had faced a series of unfortunate events, including a job loss and an unforeseen home repair disaster that drained her savings. She found herself in a dire financial situation. This added to the pressure on me to provide for them. I initially agreed to give them a small portion to help out with their child's medical bills and Sarah's financial troubles, but they kept pushing for more and more. Eventually, they wanted half of my inheritance, leaving me with just a fraction of what I initially received. Feeling pressured and overwhelmed, I stood my ground and said no. I worked hard for my own financial stability, and it didn't seem fair that I should give up so much of my inheritance, even with their child's condition and Sarah's financial woes in mind. That's when things got ugly. In a moment of frustration, I shouted, "You're just a bunch of leeches. You've always been terrible with money, and now you're trying to suck me dry, just like you always do." I went a little far, and I've apologised for being so harsh. But honestly, even out of the heat of the moment, I still basically feel the same way. I'd paid for their rent when they couldn't make ends meet, covered their credit card bills during a shopping spree they couldn't afford, and even lent them money to buy a car. Now, with Lily's condition and Sarah's financial struggles, they're making me feel like the bad guy for not giving them my inheritance. Reddit, am I the idiot for not wanting to share half my inheritance with my siblings given their history? I'm honestly baffled by the situation and questioning if I've crossed a line that I can't come back from. Now here are the comments. Comment 1. Before I met my wife, she had a similar story. Her grandmother left her house with my wife. Why? My wife was the only one who visited her and took care of her. Her 2 sisters and brother never visited. So when the grandmother passed, my wife got the house. The siblings felt that she should have sold it and split the money. The one thing that they didn't know was that there was still about $30,000 owed on the house. This happened in 1993. Her brother never spoke to her again. He died a few years ago. Her 2 sisters hadn't spoken to her until I reached out to them, but even then it was cold. She now has 1 sister left and they rarely speak. Not the idiot. The inheritance was left to you, and probably for a good reason. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Whilst their situations are very unfortunate, you each got an equal share, which means they would have gotten a payment each to tide them over through their issues. The fact they immediately guilt-tripped you makes me think they see you as a pushover. Stand your ground and tell your siblings they need to work out their own problems because your money is your money. If they manipulate you and pull the whole, "oh, but you don't love us," then maybe you're better off being low contact, since clearly their love is conditional. Comment 3. Not the idiot. Don't give them anything to help. You've already found out they aren't grateful. Their greed is not your issue. Their problems, though awful, are not yours to fix. Who knows when you may need help? Will they be there? If not for the inheritance, what would they have done? They can figure themselves out. If I was in their situation, I would cry with gratitude if $100 was offered. Now for the next story. 2 months ago, my 27-year-old male wife's 25-year-old female sister Stella had to move out from her previous living situation. Since then, she has been staying at our place, except for the few times she went away to see some friends or other family members, but she's never gone for more than a week at a time. At first, I was happy to let her stay in the guest room, since I know she and my wife are very close, and my wife practically begged me when she learned her sister was being kicked out. Different story, not important here. Stella is a great guest. She helps clean, cook, contributes to the groceries, etc. None of that is any problem. I also like her, and having her around, we both work from home. My wife doesn't, and we share a lot of interests that I don't with my wife, like games and some TV shows, so we typically watch or play something before my wife gets home. She's been respectful of our place and does not bring any friends over without first asking if it's fine. The problem is that when my wife and Stella are together, it's like I don't exist. The moment my wife comes back from work, they become pretty much glued to each other, to the point where if we all watch something together, that I have no say in, they cuddle together on the couch, and I have to sit in the armchair. More often than not, they will also stay up late together while I get ready to sleep earlier, and I will wait for my wife in our bedroom only to learn that she went to sleep in the guest bed with Stella. When I confronted her about it a few times, she always said that it's because she thought I was already asleep, but they will literally sometimes go to the guest bed before I even go to our bedroom, and my wife will just stay there. I tried talking about all this with both of them, but they both brush me off and say that I'm imagining things or overreacting. It came to the point where I'm starting to resent Stella's presence, because when she's around, it's like she's my wife's entire world. She didn't even say anything the other day when I just up and left the room for over an hour. When I came back, she was just watching some show with Stella's head in her lap. I think Stella was asleep and didn't even see me standing there. Last night I had enough when I came back home from a grocery run and saw the two of them cuddled together watching something on Stella's phone in our bed. When they came out to cook dinner, I told Stella that I think she should go find a hotel to stay at until she finds a new place. My wife has been mad at me since yesterday, and Stella didn't really talk to me at all, but I saw her looking at hotels. My wife will not hear my reasons at all, and she says that this is her house as well, and she has every right to let a family member in need stay over for as long as necessary. I went with Stella's stay being too long by now as my primary reason, but honestly I would not mind her staying longer if they weren't so obsessed with each other. Am I the idiot? If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.